Hi friends. This video, in a very roundabout way, is about the strikes and the protests and the direct action that's happening in Minnesota right now. And then in kind of a broad sense about all of the direct action that's happening around the world, in Nepal and in the UK and across America and everywhere else. But also it comes off the back of a second video. The video I was meant to record today. I started writing a script, which is unusual. These diaries are not typically scripted. I don't know if you could tell. And that script has gone on for a while. It was meant to be a very short, like just get some ideas down. It's 4 pages long already and it's not done. So that's coming. I think that'll be a good project. But by the time I got near the end, I was left with this funny thought, which I think can live in its own space. I think by now, mycelium is quite common knowledge. But just as a quick refresher, fungi, which we tend to think of as mushrooms, mostly exist below the surface. And they exist in this root-like network called mycelium. And the mycelium, it connects up the roots of the trees and the plants in the forest, or wherever the mycelium's growing. And it creates these mycelium networks. And these networks, they allow the plants to communicate, to collaborate, to work together, to share incoming information, to act so dynamically. Even though they're all working as separate organisms, they have the mycelium network to connect them. And I think about mycelium a lot. I love mushrooms. I have mushrooms on my arm. By the way, my tattoo, it's mushrooms all the way around. And then I was thinking about a few years ago, I didn't really understand how community action works. I always thought that when the revolution comes, I'll see it out my window. I'll see people marching down the street with pitchforks and signs, and I'll know, that's the revolution over there. I've been waiting for that. I better put my shoes on. Sorry, gonna be late for work today. And that's not really how it works. If the revolution happens, it might be a bit late for you to realize if you're waiting to see it from your window. It turns out that underneath the surface of the world, society, I think that makes me sound a bit joker. Underneath the surface of just life, we have these communities. We have groups and organizations and just rough assemblages of people who are communicating, who are sharing their information and their resources, that are giving alerts, that are pinging information off each other through one network into another, and these are the communities. And these communities run through life like the mycelium in the forest. Without them, the forest dies. They make up such a big part of the biomass of the forest. But they're not the trees, they're not the plants, they are the fabric holding it together. And that's really important, I think. And so I ended up writing in this script, just at the bottom, community is like mycelium, or community is mycelium. And it's important that we keep healthy soil and that we connect ourselves up to the mycelium network, because here's the best bit: it's mutualistic. The plants grow the fungi and the fungi grow the plants. And when they're working together, when you have mutualism, you get rainforests, which is an apt metaphor. When you cut down rainforests, it's bad for everyone. So, in places like Minnesota, Nepal, and across Europe, South America, I want to list off all the countries I know are protesting, but for a start, I don't know all of them, and secondly, it's all of them, I imagine. Across the world, when we see these mass movements, we see people responding and reacting together, even when it happens without higher organization, it doesn't happen spontaneously, it happens through this underground connection and collaboration. It happens all at once, but because the roots were there to do so. So I'm gonna end off the video just with stay safe, stay connected, grow yourself in fertile soil, and be the mycelium. Be part of the mycelium network. And thank you for being connected to mine. I love you very, very much. I hope this has made some sense. Good night.